views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everybody in the Bronx, I'm Gary Axelbank. Today is Wednesday, June 14th. It's actually Flag Day, and this is Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Stay connected with us on social media. You can find us at Twitter at BronxNet TV and on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, let's see, lots going on. Thousands of Puerto Ricans celebrated the 60th annual Puerto Rican Day Parade over the past weekend. It started from East 44th Street to East 79th Street, with many people celebrating Puerto Rican heritage. Many people marched in the parade despite the controversy over Oscar Lopez Rivera, an ex-member of a nationalist Puerto Rican group linked to the deadly bombings in the 70s and the 80s. Mayor de Blasio and City Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito were among city officials who did participate in that parade. A lot of people know about this. Last week, Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. gathered together with many celebrities from the hip-hop community, along with many of us Bronx music lovers, to celebrate Global Hip Hop Day. Some of those celebrities included Fat Joe, Dougie Fresh, and many more, all of whom came to celebrate hip-hop's influence in the Bronx and all over the world. Part of that celebration included the partial renaming of Sedgwick Avenue to Hip Hop Boulevard, which honored the birthplace of hip-hop, which, as we all know, was at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. The New York City Police Department will start writing civil summonses instead of criminal summonses for those who are charged with low-level offenses. Instead of having a petty offense on a permanent record, a person will get fined or charged with community service. Those who do get ticketed will be able to now contest to a summons online or at one of 5 different locations. The law was put into place after many New Yorkers were stuck with permanent criminal records due to those low-level offenses. Governor Cuomo has announced an acceleration on construction of MTA bridges and tunnels to reduce traffic due to Amtrak repairs. This ensures that all major construction will be completed by July 8th. We will all be happy to live to see that happen. The order will also ensure that all major commuting crossings will be cashless and all lanes will be open during the daytime. The projects that will be accelerated included the construction of the north tube of the Queens at Midtown Tunnel, the restoration of the Brooklyn Plaza at the Hugh Carey Tunnel, and the installation of cashless tolling on the Verrazano Bridge. One very sad note in the Bronx: Will J. Madonna, an attorney known for his legal and community services, has passed away. Mr. Madonna began his legal career in the office counsel of the New York Department and later joined the Bronx DA's office. Since then, he created a private practice in the Bronx. He was not only an attorney, but an active community leader. The viewing for Mr. Madonna will be held today at Schuyler View Funeral Home from 2 to 5 and 7 to 9. Funeral services take place at St. Francis de Chantal Church, which is at 190 Hollywood Boulevard. And a much different note, the 9th annual Square at the Fair is set to take place on June 17th. The event is presented by the Westchester Square Business Improvement and Image Marketing to promote their Westchester Square thriving community. The Square at the Fair, or the Fair at the Square, is from 11 a.m. in the morning to 7 p.m. It will be on Westchester Square between Silver Street and Westchester Avenue. Well, Community Board 7 took a bus tour highlighting new housing construction and even the new development at our own BronxNet studios. BronxNet correspondent Arlene Makoko has that story for you.
A whirlwind bus tour to highlight new housing, construction, and more, led by Adelaide Walker Santiago. The first stop was Project Renewal on 204th Street that also features this rooftop with spectacular views.
We have like 12 committees dealing with transportation, dealing with education, housing. And we have a lot of developments going up.
I'm happy to have you guys here, and I hope that you guys enjoy the tour.
Next stop, this rooftop garden at a senior housing complex called Servium that opened its doors in 2009. The group then headed to Williamsbridge Oval, where they met up with Bronx Parks Commissioner Iris Rodriguez Rosa. The group then took a walk back into history.
We're going to have a visit and a tour of the Valentine Variant House. And I don't think a lot of people have been inside there, and they have a special exhibit for World War II today.
Now in their third year, the goal is to also attract more volunteers. The tour included a visit to BronxNet television studios, where they met with Executive Director Michael Maxinabi.
The spaces you're about to see are going to be renovated this year. It's going to be a major construction project. So this entrance we're about to go into, it's changing. The entrance is going to be over there. This, where we're first going to enter, is going to be a conference room. Let's take a look.
They wrapped up at the Bronx Center Library, where they recognized community leaders for their support.
I'm very proud of the work that Community Board 7 does. We're literally at the heart of the Bronx, and we service the main artery of the Bronx. So, the work that the men and women of the Community Board does is so important, because when it comes to stopping overdevelopment and keeping the environment clean, it's very important that we support it any way we can.
It's always a privilege to be recognized for some of the things that you do as part of his job, and also as part of the commitment that you have with your community.
With a population of close to 140,000, tours like this one help the board to see close up new development and see how it impacts the community so that they can better serve. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
Thank you, Arlene. We will take a quick break. We'll be right back with the latest in politics.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Welcome back to Bronx Talk. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about with our guest this morning. Attorney General Jeff Sessions testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee and stated that any suggestion that he colluded with Russia during the 2016 presidential campaign was a detestable lie, while also stating that he recused himself because of the president. Plus, President Trump called the House health care bill mean and says the Senate should spend more time on the bill and make it generous and kind with heart. Joining us to discuss these topics and more, please welcome back BMCC professor and my friend, J.C. Polanco. Nice to have you with us. And also my friend, too, owner of Retrovision Media, Lee Bynes. Nice to have you.
There you go.
J.C., let's start with the Jeff Sessions thing. Rather than ask specifics, what was your impression, I guess, of not only Sessions, but that testimony in context with the whole Russia investigation?
Look, I think that Attorney General Sessions is in a tough position. He just heard former FBI Director Comey talk about how he actually recused himself because of some top secret information that he's not allowed to share in the public arena, which made Attorney General Sessions look terrible. So he was walking in under a cloud of suspicion. So I think that yesterday was a very tough day for Attorney General Sessions. He was defending himself constantly. We heard a lot of, I don't remember, I don't recall. He feels that this is a witch hunt. You can tell in his eyes that he thinks that there's something going on and that he wants to make sure that the senators don't accuse him of lying. So I saw that hearing yesterday, and as a Republican, I'm hoping that there's nothing there. But one thing they can do to help themselves is just to stop saying I don't remember and answer the question.
I was just going to ask you that. Did he not help himself?
No, he didn't. He didn't help himself, and I think that by doing that, viewers are going to believe that there's something that they're hiding, and if there's nothing that they're hiding, stop being funny and just answer the damn question.
And then, of course, if in fact he is hiding something and says the wrong thing, then of course you've got a pretty serious situation. What's your perspective?
Well, my take on it is just a tad bit broader than that. I think not only is Jeff Sessions having issues, but the entire administration is having difficulties, because this goes back before Sessions. Let's take this back to last Wednesday when the DNI, Dan Coates, and the NSA chief, Mike Rogers, did the same thing. Essentially, they came out, gave no legal justification for not answering the questions that were being asked, and they pretty much relied on the fact that they felt it was inappropriate to expose private conversations with the president. When that happened, it placed Jim Comey on an island, essentially, because he had nobody to corroborate his word. When the president on Friday came out and intimated that he was willing to, well, not intimated, directly stated that he would be willing to testify under oath himself that Comey lied, we find now that there's an entire scenario building with a lot of steam that, yes, there is definitely something indeed being hidden.
Do you think that, and maybe this is a better question for JC, but I'll give you the first crack at it. Do you think that Republicans on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and maybe Republicans in general, are willing to go as far as they need to go to find out whether something nefarious happened here? Or as you watch the questioning, you're getting one kind of questioning from one party and one kind of questioning from the other. Hang on, you'll get a whack at it. Okay. He goes first.
Here's
because I know you have something to say about it.
Here's what I'm thinking. The Republicans, until something comes up, until there's something that actually comes out that you can hang your hat on. Right now, we're just looking at smoke, and that's the reason why I think the Republicans are holding their fire right now. They're giving the president a benefit of a doubt. Whether or not, with all of these things going on, and how easily it is to make a prima facie case for obstruction of justice, they're just not going to do anything.
What's your thought? And you undoubtedly talk, maybe not to federal officials, but you talk to local Republicans. What are they thinking?
The Democrats right now are acting holier than thou. It's as if they've never played the committee hearing game of asking preferential questions to people in your own party. All we have to see is the last 8 years under President Obama. For every hearing that we had, whether it was the IRS scandal or Benghazi, every Democrat asked a positive question. So now we see Republicans asking questions that you believe may be leaning, and everybody's up in arms. The reality is this. This is what we do know. The former Director Comey said that President Trump was not under investigation. That we know. Senator Warner.
Well, that may change, of course.
Of course, a lot of things may change. I may have abs tomorrow. Who knows, right? But that's not. That's not reality. So as of now, we know that Director Comey said that there is no investigation on the president, and we also saw Senator Warner say that he has not found any evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. And this is a man with top secret clearance. Right. So what we do know is that for now, before the final report is out by Special Counsel Mueller, we are looking at a president who has been, in so many words, vindicated from all of the attacks that we continue to see, including this latest one that you've just launched.
Well, if in
Be
fact,
quick, because I want to move to the health.
I certainly will. If in fact the president feels vindicated, he can actually make sure of that by just admitting whether or not the tapes exist. If they do, they will exonerate him. If they don't, he's got another problem.
Again, we'll start with you, JC, on the healthcare thing. Now, it was widely criticized. The healthcare bill, the House healthcare bill, was widely criticized because many people felt that it was mean. President said it's a great deal. He pushed it, he pushed it, he pushed it. And now he wakes up this morning, realizes, well, you know what, maybe it wasn't that nice, and it was going to hurt a lot of Americans. So it was a mean bill. Let's let the Senate do something better. Really, do they have any idea what they're doing?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't even know what's happening half of the time, Gary.
Well, the fact is nobody knows what's happening because the Senate has kept it under
Look,
cover.
the reality, this could be the genius of Donald Trump. Believe it or not, hold up, this could be. I said could be, right? Think about it.
Story.
He secures his base, supporting him no matter what, by pushing in this tough and Obamacare. And then he goes to the Senate and says, I'm a few votes shy. Let me bring those guys over. And now he looks like a deal maker.
Let me ask you something. This came up during the debates. Hillary Clinton, when it came up to Obamacare, Hillary Clinton said there are problems with Obamacare. We need to take what's good, and we can review what those items are and reform it. And then the Republicans said, no, the whole thing's got to go. But isn't that exactly what they're doing now?
I think that's what's going to end up happening. Yeah. And I think, well, that's what former Speaker John Boehner said was going to happen. He says you're going to take Obamacare, and then you're just going to tweak it to make it better. At the end of the day, that's what we're going to see.
And the problem is that the president, and nobody wants to give the number 44 credit for doing something that lasts a little bit. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on it is that the president essentially threw his own party under the bus. He was the one who held a big rally. He had a bus full of senators come over. I'm sorry, a bus full of Congress people from the House to come over, stand on the Rose Garden lawn, and have this big situation. Now these people have to go back to their town halls and meet with their constituents and explain to them why they voted for a mean bill. Not only that, but the bulk of those who are being affected is coming from Donald Trump's constituents in those areas. And these people are going to have to face the 2018 election, and it is not going to be pretty.
I'm going to do something really unfair. We're going to break out of the topics. Everybody's talking about you running for public advocate. Is it true?
Yeah, I'm running.
Are you an announced candidate for public
advocate?
I'm an announced Republican candidate. Boy, we'll have to get you on Bronx Talk and really go through that. We'll give you a chance of one statement of why you want to do something like that.
I think it's important, and why not? We should have a conversation. Honestly, we should have a conversation about a lot of the issues that are affecting New Yorkers. And I couldn't just sit down another year and just not be part of the conversation.
I couldn't sit down here and do this interview without asking you that. J.C. Polanco and Lee Bynes, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll take a break. We'll be back with more Open right after this.
Well, I got this as a paid internship. Spending my time here, I really enjoyed the people that work here. I enjoy what goes on behind the scenes.
So far, I've learned how to operate a camera, how to host. I learned how to control audio.
My first time hosting was really nerve-wracking, but I really enjoyed it because it was a new experience.
Every Monday night at 9, we talk to the borough's movers and shakers about the latest in Bronx politics, education, healthcare, arts and culture, and literally any and everything that's important to the people of the Bronx. There's a reason why Bronxites have been turning to Bronx Talk for more than 20 years, because Bronx Talk is about you and me, the people of the Bronx. So we'll see you Monday night at 9. All right, back with you on Open. More than 1,000 people were arrested in Russia during a political protest led by Alexei Navalny, if I got that right, the Russian opposition leader. Navalny, who was arrested himself, has turned out to be a big political leader and plans to run for president in 2018. In other international news, Conservative Party in UK lost the majority of their seat in the last election. Theresa May was forced to pursue a deal with Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland. And lastly, the Senate questions Trump's weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. Here to discuss those topics, please welcome SUNY Maritime professor and also a political analyst, Mark Meirowitz. Nice to have you with us,
Hi, Gary.
Professor. You wanted to comment on the last segment.
Yeah, I thought it was a great segment, right? You're talking about sessions with Russia, but it segues into American foreign policy with Russia, which is non-existent.
Let me ask you something.
Please.
Do you have a sense that if there was any collusion, it was to assist Putin and take away some of the sanctions?
I certainly don't know more than the people who testified in the hearings,
right.
But we see sort of in the law, I'm also a lawyer, and we know that recips of the thing speaks for itself. A lot of these people who are testifying don't recall, don't want to answer. And that's very, very strange. But the point that I think that came out was very important was the question that was asked of Sessions is, have you, in all the time that you've interacted with the president and otherwise, have you ever heard any questions about Russia's hacking of elections and interfering with America? And the answer was no. I never got a briefing on that. And that is very, very strange. We also know that when the president went to NATO, he didn't mention Article 5, which is the collective security concept. We know that there seems to be an absence of commentary on Russia, including these mass protests, which you just mentioned, where the people in Russia are not very happy with Putin, and Putin's mischief around the world is well known. And his expansionism, his foreign policy is very problematic, and the United States is not pushing back against it.
Well, you said that it's very strange that
Yes.
he said he wasn't briefed on it. Strange to the point of making him not believable, or strange to the point of saying, you know what, something is not right in the administration? In other words, characterize what you meant by strange.
I think it's a good question, but it's one as to which there's no clear answer at the present time. I don't think I'm any more knowledgeable, certainly, than the senators who were at that hearing. And I think the answer is the investigation by Robert Mueller, and I think that is the one that is going to hopefully bring out the answers. It is very, again, peculiar and disturbing that the head of national intelligence and these lead people who are supposed to be there to protect us against the threats outside are not answering questions that the American people are entitled to know. The thing about the mass protest, I think, is very important. There is a groundswell in Russia against Putin, but Putin suppresses it. Can you imagine that? You saw that at the protests, you had huge numbers of police suppressing a peaceful protest. We know that there are dictators in the world like this. In North Korea, we have it in Russia. And the problem is, just as a last point, what we seem to be doing in our foreign policy, which is in complete chaos, by the way, what we're doing is we are spending more time with our enemies, right? Like the Philippines are not an enemy, but detractors, and the Russians, right? And we have them, the Russians come to the Oval Office, right? But our friends in the world, the British, the Australians, the others, they don't get any much love from America. And America has been the friend to the world, to Europe, the Marshall Plan. We've been the friend, we've been the savior of Europe. Where is America now?
Just to extend the notion of peaceful protest to America, many of the domestic policies are being changed to make it more difficult to protest. So I don't want to isolate it and say that that's only a foreign question. Anyway,
I'm not so sure on that point. In other words, if you're talking about civil liberties in this country, I think that what I have seen, and I'm very, as an American, I'm very proud by the level of open debate on these subjects and the freedom of the press. Even though the press has been castigated as the enemy of the people, the press has been out there. The other thing that has impressed me tremendously is the function of the Senate. You know, Washington always revered the Senate. Profiles encouraged by JFK is about the great leaders in the Senate. We see the senators up front, questioning the administration, doing their job, and representing the American people. We're not seeing that. For example, in that cabinet meeting that Trump had, where he basically had everybody go around and tell him how wonderful he was, we're not seeing that from the executive branch, but we're sure seeing a vibrant Congress, which is very good.
Let's talk about a couple of the other foreign policy things.
Perfect.
It's very interesting in this country, after President Trump was elected, there was a very strong anti-conservative uprising. Whether it was enough to win the election, that's of course another question. But in London and in England, there has been an anti-conservative uprising. How significant is the recent vote?
Well, you have
in
to go
England?
back a little bit in the history of Brexit and see where this all started. And it was really misstep after misstep after misstep.
Theresa May?
Well, Cameron too. Cameron said, you know, we have to make this an issue. We have to have a referendum which just said leave or remain. No options. Referenda can be very tricky. You can only say yes or no. Well, they answered, we want to leave. Well, you can't just leave something as big as the European Union. There's Article 50, there's British laws. I just want to add one more thing. And then Theresa May came along and said, oh, okay, now I'll call an election. And that was a misstep upon misstep, and she is now in a very, very bad position.
What is the significance of that long term in terms of the, kind of the stability of the British government?
Not the British government,
I
but
didn't
Britain's
mean as a
position
whole.
in Europe
Yes.
is in risk because Britain has tremendous contacts with Europe, trade contacts, political contacts. And the point is, the question is, how do you fashion this pullout from the EU? Do you do it at all? Or do you actually, you can't just pull out Britain from Europe. Europe will lose a tremendous amount of trade that it has in interactions. But you also, from the British point of view, they don't want to stay in the EU and have the right of all EU members to freely traverse British territory, if you see my point. So there are upsides and downsides. What Theresa May has done is she's put Britain between a rock and a hard place, in a very bad position, and without many options.
Last question.
President
Trump cut an arms deal with Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Right afterwards, they went out and started to rip Qatar, which has been a very
Right.
important base for America
Right.
in that part of the world. Are those two items connected?
Right. Well, sure, everything is connected in politics, right, Gary? Okay.
You got to be clear
yes,
about
right.
15
but
seconds.
But in 15 seconds, that is the biggest kerfuffle and conundrum in world politics today is Qatar. We have a base in Qatar, right? So President Trump came up with his point, well, Qatar isn't bad and all of that, following the Saudi point. But then someone reminded him that we have a base there. And Rex Tillerson, his own Secretary of State, said, please go slowly here because we don't want to destroy the whole situation.
We got to go. Do you
Yes.
think those two things are connected, the Saudi arms deal and his criticism of Qatar?
The Saudi arms deal is clearly connected. Saudi relations, the
Okay.
president likes Saudi Arabia.
Listen, we could go on and on. Professor Mark Morowitz from
Thank you.
SUNY Maritime,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Also a
Thank
political
you.
analyst. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
That's great.
You stay tuned. We'll be right back with Open after these messages.
Coming to you from our BronxNet studios, 4 new shows highlighting some of the best of the Bronx has to offer. We sit down with political leaders on In the District and discuss local legislation, events, and issues. See how the community and business come together with The Bronx Now on BronxNet. Nosotros features leaders from our Latino community. Meet those who are moving to make a difference in public service, business, arts, and culture. Looking for new and exciting dining experiences? Then you'll want to savor the Bronx and try new restaurants and eateries that fill the borough with delicious dishes. We have it all, so experience the Bronx in new and fresh ways on BronxNet.
And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Well, just like that, the weather got warm. In fact, it got hot. And what better way to start off the summer than to participate in the annual Boogie on the Boulevard event, where friends and family get the chance to enjoy free music, create art, and participate in fitness programs right on our boulevard, the Grand Concourse. Joining us to tell us more about the event, please welcome founder and vice president Laura Alvarez from the Bronx Arts Factory. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
And Aisha Akata, did I get that right? Akhtar, okay, from the Bronx Museum. I'm so sorry. So let's start with you about the founding of Boogie on the Boulevard. For many years, we used to have car-free Sundays on Grand Concourse. This, I guess, was the next step after that was ended, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the origination of it.
Well, I wasn't one of the founders of the Boogie on the Boulevard. I was there every year, though. I volunteered the first year, and then with BXS Factory, we have participated as a partnering organization. But it was an initiative that wanted to create free car Sundays in the Bronx, and it started 4 years ago with the Bronx Museum, DOT.
And so why would you participate? What makes it worthwhile for you?
I love art, I love community, I love a healthy community, and there's no better way of spreading the love than doing it in the street. Streets are the #1 public spaces in New York.
So let's talk about the Bronx Museum, which has really an incredibly broad vision about all these kinds of things. Tell me a little bit about Boogie on the Boulevard and what you guys want to see out of it I guess it's each Sunday, right?
Yeah. So the dates are Sunday, June 25th, July 23rd, August 20th, and September 10th.
Okay.
And it's really an opportunity.
So wait, let's do that again. June 25th, I'm going to count them.
Yeah, June 25th,
right?
July 23rd,
July 23rd,
August 20th,
August 20th,
September 10th.
4 of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, 4 boogie days, which is really, really exciting. And it stretches on the Grand Concourse from 162nd Street to 170th Street. So it's really, really long and has we're packed with activities for the day. And one of the main reasons that the Bronx Museum participates is that it's really a way for us to engage the community. We're in this building, which is really beautiful, but can be sometimes really intimidating for people on the block to come in.
It feels like it's isolated.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
We're kind of isolated. Even though we're free admission and we're very accessible, we want the community to see our face, and we also want it's also an opportunity to partner with other really wonderful Bronx institutions like the Bronx Arts Factory. I also want to shout out our partners, if I'm able to.
Of course. We want to, at Open, we try to promote all that stuff.
Yeah, so Boogie on the Boulevard is made possible by the New York City Department of Transportation Weekend Walks program with support from Building Healthy Communities, and is organized by the Bronx Museum of the Arts, Bronx Neighborhood Health Action Center of New York City Department Health and Mental Hygiene, Bronx Arts Factory, Bronx Works, and Bronx Health Reach in partnership with many, many volunteer committees.
You know, you say that and people will hear the list and say, oh, well, that's nice. But you know what? It makes people understand that it's not just well, let's just shut down traffic and let people walk around.
Yeah.
There's really a lot that goes into it.
Definitely. We have been planning this for months, and
when one boogie finishes, another one starts. So it's whole year.
Talk to me about specifically what you do with arts, so that people who are interested know what.
We're gonna have a whole block packed with art activities. Over 15 artists are coming out and creating.
To do what? Give me some specifics.
So we're gonna have a gallery. Outdoors gallery from a project we started last year called What's My Art with a photographer, Trovan Blondet. And he's going to be taking pictures of the people that comes to the Boogie, that they might be part of that gallery, outdoors gallery. We're going to have flower making, collages, T-shirt making, canvas,
You know,
painting, murals.
it's really
poetry.
incredibly exciting, and what's interesting to me is because these things all take materials, yet it is a free day for people. Who pays for it? Comes out of various funds and grants, and my reason for saying that is wherever that's coming from, we want more of that. We want more support for those.
Actually, for us, until this year, we always worked with volunteer artists, and BXS Factory assumed some of the cost. This year, we got a grant. So we can pay the artists, and that's a very rewarding thing that we can say that we're paying the artists. Everyone's doing something that they applied to do, and so it's really. And when you can see the families all together participating in those activities, it's amazing. It's amazing the faces how they lit up.
Aisha, I just want to tie it into the Bronx Museum, which is very much unlike other museums because it's really a living and breathing place that goes out of its way to interact to the community. Talk to me about the general vision of the Bronx Museum and why Boogie on the Boulevard fits into that vision of what the museum is about.
Definitely. So the Bronx Museum really tries to bring art that's relevant to the community, and we really want to be completely accessible. That's why we're free admission every single day. And Boogie in the Boulevard is just such a natural program for the museum because we really want to be integrated into the community. And how else to be integrated than by going out into the streets and having programming on the streets itself.
Now, when you go out there at Boogie on the Boulevard, what are the things that you see that makes you happiest?
There are a lot of things.
That's going to be the last question because they told me to wrap it up. Go ahead.
There are a lot of things. I think one of the most fun is like seeing some teenagers or adults like learn how to bike on Boogie
really
on the
a
Boulevard.
Discovery thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Listen, I got to let you guys go, but Laura and Aisha, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for bringing Boogie on the Boulevard to not only open, but to the Boulevard. We appreciate it. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with more Open right after this.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness. I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
My name is Osvaldo Adames. I grew up in the Bronx and went to school right here at the Bronx School for Law, Government, and Justice. In the 7th grade, I hadn't given college that much thought. But all of that changed when I entered the Bronx Institute at Lehman College's Gear Up program. Gear Up helped simplify the entire college application process, helping me prepare for the SATs and organizing college visits and open houses. Last year, I graduated from Hamilton College in upstate New York with a major in mathematics and a minor in Mandarin Chinese. Now, I'm a teacher at my old middle school. I think back to 7th grade, and I honestly had no idea how much help Gear Up would be. They offered me the support I needed to succeed. If you're enrolled in Gear Up, talk to your academic coach or visit the Bronx Institute at www.thebronxinstitute.org for more information.
The Women's Housing Development Corporation, also well known as WEDCO, is dedicated to building healthy and successful communities by providing affordable housing, early childhood education, youth development, and much more. Here to talk about the organization, along with some of their upcoming events. We welcome WEDCO Vice President of Community Development, Karen McLean. Nice to have you with us. And the Manager of Community Development is Yasmin Vega. Nice to have you with us. So who wants, maybe we'll start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, the Bronx Commons is incredibly exciting. Let's get an overall vision of what's going on at WEDCO right now.
Sure. WEDCO is an organization that was started 25 years ago, so we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year.
I remember it when it got started.
Wonderful.
I'm happy to say.
Yes, and so our work really is about creating beautiful, equitably economic and vibrant places for people to live and raise a family here in the Bronx. And the work that we do extends from education and youth development to providing economic opportunity, supporting businesses, and also having events and activities to just create more vibrant neighborhoods where we work.
Among the many fascinating and innovative programs at WEDCO is that wonderful culinary program. Talk to me about that. I love to talk about it. I've been over there. I've seen it. It's just a very unique thing and really provides education, opportunity, self-development. I'm answering my own question. but give me some, and give the folks of the Bronx some specifics about what it is.
WEDCO's Bronx Cook Space is a commercial kitchen incubator where we serve about 30 businesses each year. And so food businesses here in the Bronx can get started, can grow, and actually grow out of the kitchen. We love when people are able to expand and start their own spaces. So it's a really wonderful opportunity to support small food businesses here in the Bronx.
Have you had people that have left and have done exactly what you say, that you can now say so-and-so is now here and they started there?
We have. Actually, we've had.
Anybody you want to mention in particular? Or
we've had a couple of organic places that have expanded.
And in the Bronx?
Some of them have expanded to Manhattan.
What? Get back here! No, but think of how wonderful that is. Yes. It really is. All right, let's talk about some of the things that are upcoming. What's coming up?
Of course, we have 3 events coming up.
All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna count them.
In the next about week and a half. So this Saturday, WEDCO is hosting a playground cleanup event at Goebel Playground, which is in the corner of Goebel Avenue and McCombs Road. I wanted to get the right street road name. From 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., cleaning supplies and snacks and WEDCO t-shirts will be provided for
that part
the volunteers.
Is easy. The key is getting the volunteers, of course. Tell me why you would do something like that. I mean, obviously it helps keep the community clean, but what's the value of engaging the community in something like that?
It's really about ownership, and it's of the community taking back the ownership of this park.
It's your park.
It's your park.
Why not?
Let's clean it up.
Yeah.
Let's make it nice for everyone to come out, use, and play, and make it safe, clean up the trash. It's summertime. It's time for the kids and everyone to spend time outside. So let's get everyone involved, and it's a stewardship.
Right.
So if you help clean it, you will help keep it clean. And
that was event number 1. So let's talk about event number. I'm counting.
Event number 2 is next Friday, June 23rd, Bronx Summerfest, from 2 to 6 p.m. on Louis Niño Boulevard between Southern Boulevard and Jennings Street, and it's part of the New York City Department of Transportation Weekend Walks program, where we're shutting down those 2 blocks to traffic.
Boy, I'm getting the idea we're doing more and more of that in the Bronx, given the last segment.
I'm
totally for it. Are you kidding?
We have a
BronxNet
stage.
and Open, we support all that stuff.
I hope you guys will come out. We have a stage, live performances by Bronx musicians and dancers. We have Bounce House, Arts and Crafts, and we invite many more things. And we invite a number of community organizations to come out. Bronx Works, Moritz Heiss Health Center will be doing screenings. Mentor New York, and it's not only a fun day for the community to celebrate WEDCO's 25th anniversary, but also to connect community members with these resources that are here.
Event number 3 is?
Event number 3 is taking place during Bronx Summerfest from 2 to 7 p.m. It's a Bronx pop-up vendor market, which will be taking place at 1303 Louis Niño Boulevard. It's right on the same block as the event. It's right off the Freeman Street stop of the 2-5 trains. And it is an opportunity for different local and minority and women-owned businesses to come out and get their unique handcrafted products to people of the Bronx to come out. There's going to be food, there's going to be jewelry.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be fantastic.
Everything that and I mean that very seriously, these are the kinds of things we need. I want to conclude this, Carrie, and ask you a little bit about the development of the Bronx in general. Right now, there's a lot of spirit of development. People are talking about whether it be new housing or, new businesses. We just opened the film studios. Talk to me about why these events are as important to developing the Bronx as the structure that we're developing, the housing that we're bringing in, and all those kinds of things.
Our philosophy is really that community members they have a wonderful opportunity to, as Yasmin kind of alluded to, take back their neighborhoods. And we find these initiatives to be really important to just underscoring that people in different communities have the right to have thriving neighborhoods, vibrant neighborhoods where they can find places to go to school, where they can find places to get the goods and services that they need. These are everyday New Yorkers who are living everyday lives in their neighborhoods.
I'm going to also partially answer my own question. And if they do better, and even if it's just mentally or psychologically, they'll be more productive. The kids will do better in school. They'll be healthier. I mean, these are all the things that you guys live with every single day. Listen, Carrie McLean and Alex Feldman.
Yasmin Vega.
Excuse me?
Yasmin Vega.
Yasmin Vega. Oh, I'm sorry. They had another name listed here. I'm so sorry, Yasmin. Say hello to Nancy and all our friends at WETCO. And, you know, you couldn't have bigger supporters than BronxNet and Open. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more Open right after this.
If you want to stay in the know about the latest happenings en español, check out Diálogo Abierto, BronxNet's own Spanish show, Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. on Channel 67. The latest in news, arts, culture, politics, and what's going on in your neighborhood. Diálogo Abierto, the best way to stay connected in Spanish. See you there. Te esperamos.
Problems of the past to overcome together the challenges of the future. Presenting the first MC, the 21st century Vitruvian man with the message, Grandmaster Melon Man.
You gotta learn your body, pace yourself, and have fun. So let's go have fun. Let's go do it.
You see, the tricky thing about shoulders, your shoulders is a three-tier muscle. You have your front delts, you have your rear delts, and you have your mid delts. So when you're working out your shoulders properly, you have to do 3 different exercises.
It's wonderful being able to compete with a lot of these young guys from all over the world. It's important to stay in shape.
As gun violence continues to be an issue in many Bronx communities and really all over the country, initiatives such as Guns Down, Life Up is pushing to break the cycle of gun violence throughout New York City. Here to tell more about Guns Down, Life Up, please welcome the director of Harlem Hospital Inquiry Prevention Program, Eric Clayette. Did I get that right?
Well, it's Eric Clayette, and it's actually the senior director for the fund for New York City Health and Hospital.
Okay.
I used to be at Harlem Hospital as the director of injury prevention.
All right, listen, all roads lead to one place, and
That's
that is
right.
we want to stop people from getting and using guns. Talk to me about your philosophy and how you work out what it is that you do.
So the work that we do is generally preventative. We are interested in prevention. If we can work with young people in middle school and follow them through high school, have them engage with positive things to do with their otherwise free time, they don't have time or energy to hurt themselves or hurt other folks. Kids always want to be involved with something. Better if they're involved with good mentors who can guide them on a path that will kind of lead them to success.
The dialogue that we're hearing, and it comes federally on the state level and on the local level in the media, is all about legislation. And where does legislation play in this, or is this almost like step 2, and what you're talking about is step 1?
So legislation is important, but the work that we're interested in is particularly in our neighborhoods. We see our children in the Bronx, in Harlem, in Brooklyn, being shot, stabbed, and assaulted. And so our interest is really focusing on changing that directive. We think that, again, if we capture young people, involve them in programming, keep them out of harm's way, we win. If kids are indoctrinated into the street life, there's an opportunity they become gang members, they follow a trajectory that will put them in harm's way. If we can have them involved in what we call Guns Down, Life Up in our long-term inner-city mentoring programs, then I think we win. And we've had this program at Harlem Hospital for a very, very, very long time.
Talk to me about the specifics. It's very easy to say keeping kids out of those kinds of activities,
Right.
and you want them to do better, and you want them to be productive, and you want them to have a family life that's not the gang family life.
Right.
How do you go and change those
So
young
there
minds?
are two things. Number one, we recognize that you have to have an activity that kids enjoy. One of the activities that we wave in front of kids is biking. Kids like to cycle. We get them out and they ride their bikes in the wintertime.
You provide the bikes for them?
We provide them with
Wow,
bikes.
How exciting.
I
I
great,
think
right?
it's tremendous.
Yeah, it's good. We used to bike 30 to 50 miles a day when I started this program many, many years ago, and we'd run in the morning. But that's just a carrot to kind of capture their attention. If they like music, if they like fashion, if they like dance, sports, we try to build programs that incorporate the things that they enjoy and then follow that up with all of the life skills activities. We talk about financial services. We talk about etiquette. We offer talks about public speaking. All sorts of things that we know will add value to their lives as they transition from where they are as young people today to the young people we'd like them to be in the future.
How many people, young people, do you have and do you serve in this program?
So it depends on how you count. So at Harlem Hospital, it really
I've been
depends
using my
on.
fingers all morning, so I guess that's how we're doing it.
Well, what I mean is, if you think direct service, so we've had more than 350 people go through our program at Harlem Hospital. We just launched the program at Lincoln Hospital right here in the Bronx. But that's direct service. But when you think about the programs that happen outside of the hospital, the community fairs, the folks that we touch in the Parks Department or where have you, that changes the number exponentially. But generally, there's a corpus of about 20 to 30 kids that we'll work with in middle school, and we also look to push that for our high school programs. In our high school program in Harlem, since that's our longest standing program, there are about 75 to 125 kids that are involved in the program, and another 20 or 30 kids that are in our middle school program.
A number of years ago, I had a conversation with the director of the PSAL, the Public School Athletic League, and he said, the rules are if you don't attend school during the day, you can't attend practice or play in a game. So he said, if you double my budget, right now I'm reaching 25,000 kids. If you double my budget, I'll reach 50,000 kids, and then I'll make sure there were 50,000 kids in school. Can I assume it's a very similar thing? If you talked about the numbers and how you count, but if you could get more funding, you could do this exponentially.
I think so, yeah. And the thing is, we have programs at Lincoln Hospital here in the Bronx. We have a program at Harlem Hospital in Harlem, and we have a program at Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn. We'd love to have it at all 11 of our hospitals throughout the city, all the public hospitals.
And this funding either comes from grant funding or it's budgeted funding from
Most
the
of this
city?
funding, comes from city council dollars and or from the office of OMB, so from mayor's money. So it's public money that helps do this work.
We've had a program, and we've covered it on Open and on Bronx Talk a number of times, which comes out of Jacoby Medical Center, which is the SUV program.
Absolutely.
Now that came out, there was some state funding that went to that.
Right.
Could this be the kind of thing that gee whiz, maybe some of this?
We're related.
I'm lobbying for you, man.
No, I appreciate
it. On BronxNet and Open, we support these
I
kinds of
appreciate
things.
it. I appreciate
we
it.
We think these are good things for kids.
They are perfect. In fact, the SUV program, in fact, before they started it, so I was talking with Dr. Tepperman and the folks up there at Jacoby when they were thinking about launching their anti-violence program in that part of the Bronx. So it's all part of the same network. We're all part of the same city hospital system. Our address is broadly to be a Guns Down, Life Up programming where we can push to have all of our public hospital systems available to keep kids out of harm's way. And quickly, let me just give you a couple of the components.
Yeah, please do.
The first component I talked about is long-term mentoring. The second component we call community engagement, where we actually have a coalition of folks that we bring around the table to talk about the issues in a specific community. So we bring in the hospital administrators, the police department, law enforcement.
So it's not really stuff from the outside. It's stuff, this is your neighborhood, this is your community. And that certainly reaches the young people.
We want those folks at the table because they understand the issues in their specific community. We don't want a cookie cutter response because we recognize that every community is just a little bit different. And ultimately, for our trauma centers, where kids actually come when they're shot, stabbed, or assaulted, we have hospital responders who we work with Cure Violence members to come into our facilities to talk to our young people about not re-engaging in violence.
Many years ago, we were told, I believe it was during the Giuliani administration, that midnight basketball doesn't work. Can you verify in some form, and this will be the last question because we're going to have to run, can you verify in some form or document that this approach does work to curbing gun violence?
Absolutely. When kids are engaged in positive activities that fill up their otherwise free time, they don't have time or energy to hurt other folks. So the more than 300 kids that have come through our program, certainly at Harlem Hospital, never end up in our trauma centers. They almost never end up being the ones that are purveyors of assault or violence. And at the end of the day, these are the kids that go into college. 90% of the kids that come to our program go to high school, go to college. And then of those 90%, another 75% of them graduate from college.
We've seen some of the contact info. We really thank you for being with us. BronxNet and Open is completely behind what you're doing, and we hope you'll be able to do more of it and expand, especially in the borough of the Bronx.
Love to be in. Thanks for having me, Gary. Appreciate
Great.
you. Yeah.
Folks, guess what? I'm looking around the room. Everybody's going, that's true. We've come to the end of our show today. We want to thank all the guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch our re-cablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. Here on Cablevision 67, Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. I'm Gary Axelbank. It has been a pleasure being open in your home. We will see you again soon. Take care.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can.
Get someone the cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
We are there, day one, with baby names and a gift that lasts a lifetime. We are there as you grow, protecting you and those you love. And we are there as you start your next chapter. We are with you through life's journey. We are Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. Get to know us at socialsecurity.gov.
This video produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.